Hey guys, this is George with Firehouse Music, and today I'm here with Eva Rodriguez once again. We are going to do a little bit more of an instructional video this time. Hopefully we'll stay on topic. We tend to ramble a little bit. And she's got a masterclass coming up here in the next few months, and I figured just like we did with David, showcase a little bit of some of those topics, put them out there, and then get some feedback from you guys. If you guys want to hear something else, if you want us to go deeper into some of these topics, this is the time to let us know, and then we'll announce the masterclass when it's ready. So let's get right to business. So I think one of the most important things, I know for me when I was coming up, I was practicing and everything else, but nobody ever taught me like how to play in a group setting, how to play with a drummer, how to play in a band. And as a drummer, and having played in multiple bands and everything else, I know you have insight on that. So what are some things that you think are important, both for a drummer to know, and then for a non-drummer getting ready to play with a drummer to know?
Well, as a drummer, I'll start off with the drummer first. One of the things that we just talked about, and is one of the fundamental things, but I guess if you're really just starting out on drums, you might not be aware of, but you are the heartbeat, essentially. I don't want to say what you say goes, but if you go off track very quickly, everything will unravel. And so the drums are kind of at the center of the rhythm, because while we're not playing chords or notes, we're solely playing the rhythm. And that means that if you're rushing or if you're dragging, that's going to impact everybody else. It's going to have a domino effect. So one of the things, if you're a drummer and you're going to start and play with a band, just make sure your internal metronome, make sure that you can, always assume that, I always tell my drummers, always assume that you're going too fast, because that's how you reel yourself back in. That's how you make sure that you're not pushing it. And I think it's better to be a little bit slower than it is for drummers to be fast. So I feel like that's a little better. Especially
in a performance, because you get that adrenaline hits you and you think you're actually going too slow, so you tend to speed up. But we talked about that before when it comes to performances and recitals and things like that.
But for a drummer, to just make sure that you have yourself good. You can, even without a click in your ear or even without a click at all, that you can hold a steady beat. Doesn't need to be the perfect beat, but you need to make sure that everybody is kind of standing on a firm foundation to be able to do all the crazy things they're going to do with you. As a musician that's trying to play with other drummers, I think what it's important, even though what I said about the drums being the core, other instruments obviously hold their own weight in the band as well, and everybody has to listen to each other, but especially the drums should be like home base. Even if you go out and venture onto your own, you're doing a solo or you're playing kind of improvising, always either look at your drummer or just have an ear out for where your drummer is, so you can always remember touch home base, and then you can go out and do your own thing again. But if you don't do that frequently, you'll be kind of blindsided in your own world, and you won't be you won't be distracted. But at the same time, you're going to kind of lose yourself. And then again, like a domino effect, if the bass starts doing a run when they're really not supposed to be, then that's just going to knock down all the other pieces of the band. And then very quickly, sometimes people that aren't musicians can't really tell when musicians mess up, but I think even those people that don't really have a musical ear will be like, oh, this sounds kind of bad, this sounds kind of rough. So I think that's important.
Yeah, something that I think we covered this on the last video that we did, but people are a lot more forgiving with the notes than they are with rhythm. If you have a non-musicians in the audience and you play the song, and maybe you are playing a guitar solo and playing the wrong note, that might fly. Unless they know the song really well.
Right.
The wrong note might fly, but if you play the wrong rhythm, people immediately know that you messed up.
Or if you get off rhythm, and yes. I'm talking even the 1 and the 3 clappers will know that something is not right, because I'm going to take something that somebody said once, that if you have a heartbeat, we are born with rhythm. And so even the people that aren't musicians, again, they can feel it. They can feel when something isn't right. And even if you try to hide it, as a drummer, even when I've tried to hide it, sometimes it still might just be me, but sometimes I'm everybody knows. Everybody just heard that, and I just have to live with it, So yeah, having that as musicians, your job is to know yourself and know how you play, but your job is to also have the ears and have the eyes to be knowing who you're playing with, to be able to make that collaborative sound, or else it's gonna sound like you're throwing a bunch of instruments down a staircase. I don't know. It's gonna sound pretty bad.
So here's a concept that we hear a lot, we talk about it a lot, and the concept of like playing tight versus playing loose, the pocket. Like, what are, for the people who don't know, like what are those things? How would you define? Well, I guess let's start one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
How would you define playing tight? How would you define playing loose in a good way? Because you can play so loose that it's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Playing loose while it's still good. And then, what do people mean when they talk about playing in the pocket or playing behind the pocket?
Yeah, so like playing in the pocket, essentially as a drummer, what that means for me is kind of like I'm sitting like right on, like I'm sitting so tight to the beat that like if I have a metronome in my ear, I can't even hear it anymore, because that's how like tight I am with everything. I'm not keeping, like things aren't, loosey-goosey. We're not just railing around. I'm legitimate, like it's gonna sound weird, but like I'm sitting on the beat. Like I am the beat at that point. And that's what playing in the pocket, that's what playing on the pocket means to me. Loose kind of means, for a drummer's perspective, loose kind of means that like you're not letting everything get off tempo. You're not letting everybody do whatever they want. But at the same time, like you're giving a little bit, not swing, but you're letting the beat kind of like move a little bit more than just staying in like a tight like 1, 3, 2, 4. As a musician, I mean, you can talk a little bit about like as a guitarist, and I guess what it means to me as a guitarist is like staying in the pocket is like, just following the drummer, honestly. Mm-hmm. Following the drummer. The drummer kind of sets that pocket, and then like the other instrumentalists still have to play in the pocket, but it's their own style of playing in the pocket.
You live inside the pocket that the drummer made for you.
Yeah, and then once the drummer kind of opens up a little bit, that's usually like maybe when like a guitarist will do like a little solo or something like that. Or same thing with the bass, like the bass, maybe the bass groove will get a little bit bigger than just like staying, in like a simple pattern. But that's what it means to me, and staying in those two various things. And that, of course, you're in the pocket some songs, and then you're not, and then you are, and then you're not. So it's also like an accordion effect. I don't know if that makes sense, mm-hmm. but that's what I can hear.
Even within the same song, you may have a section that is super tight. And in my head, because I came from like my first experience with music, playing in bands, playing in heavy metal bands. Mm-hmm. So I know I don't look it, but I used to be a metalhead. And
look it. And
the concept of playing like super tight is like it's not a very technical part. Mm. It's like fast and technical, so everything has to be tight. Mm-hmm. And then when you're playing a little bit more loose, it's a more groovy sort mm-hmm. of loose part.
Mm-hmm. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean like everybody's playing jazz all of a sudden because we're like swinging together. It just means that everybody's a little more open musically. That allows that stuff. But then again, what we were talking about earlier about touching back to home base, if you're doing that and then like you look at your drummer and you can hear or you can sense that your drummer's about to like go back, or they're like giving you a look and they go back into that pocket, that's like, hey, like everything comes back down. And then again, like it's just all about communication as well. Both like, verbally, if you're like, hey, if you're at a rehearsal, you're like, hey, I'm about to go, like we're gonna go back down or whatever. Then you go back down. Or if it's just a look they give you, or if you have the musical ear enough, if you played long enough that you can hear when they're about to change. Like when they're about to make their shift, then those are all like things that you have to look out for. Those are all things that you have to be pretty
cool. Yeah, and then
environmentally aware.
I think it'd be a good idea for us to play some mm-hmm. of this stuff so we can demonstrate, like what's like. We play something, we play it tight. We play something else and play it loose. Maybe even the same thing. I'll try to pick a riff that we can play basically both, like tight, loose, mm-hmm. on a little bit more on the backbeat. And so that way everybody listening and watching can sort of get a sense of what we're doing. We'll label it all in the video so mm-hmm. people can see it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
it, guys. This is it. We're gonna go over way more during the masterclass. Eva's gonna go through all the topics. We haven't even covered different music styles, different genres, because these concepts are simple, but man, you can talk about them for days, because everything is slightly different, because the language of different genres, whether you're playing country, if you're playing rock, playing jazz, blues, all these things apply, but they apply a little bit differently. And because we don't want to make this video like 2 hours long, and plus we want to have something to teach at the master class. We're not going to cover all this in the video, but we will be going over it during the master class, so stay tuned for that. We'll be announcing it shortly. Get on our mailing list if you're not, so that way you'll hear when it is and you can come. If you are from out of town and you want to join us via remotely via Google Meet or Zoom or whatever, I'm gonna try and facilitate that as well. So do you have anything you wanna add?
I'll be here at the masterclass talking about jazz and pop and rock and blues and gospel. We can talk about just gospel music and rhythms
that is
forever.
It's deceptively intense. We're gonna start talking about that. That's already stuff.
It is. No, you're right. I've never found a word to describe it, but that comes pretty close.
Yeah. It's because when you listen to it, you're like, oh, it's just simple. It's simple chords. Lots of 1/4s, and then you try to play it, and it's like, oh, there's so much to it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that masterclass, and I'm looking forward if the masterclass goes well and there's little tidbits, we can even we usually upload the masterclasses as well. But if there's little tidbits we can dive into after that too, we'll make more videos about that, and we love playing together, so any chance we could get, any excuse to do it and record it.
Yeah, cool. For sure. Yeah. All right, so stay tuned, guys, and I'll catch you guys next time.